Hey there everyone, welcome to So You Want to Tank, and this time it is the other side. Now, quick little disclosure, I was with a crazy guild group that pulled some really good numbers here, so we're going to see a lot of the packs just kind of melt real quick here. So getting into the fray, the Risen Warlord right here. He has a built-in enrage already. Now, this is currently Raging Week, so that is something that you're going to want to watch out for. Basically, you're going to want to soothe. Very important. If you're a bear, you can cover that yourself, but if you're a non-bear, you're going to want to make sure that you have a soothe in your party. Now, a lot of you have probably been learning that on Raging Week already, so keep that in mind. But as you see here, 28k, 18k, 15k from the DPS, things just melted. But what we do here is we burn that first pack, and then we're going to lust on the second. Although our survival hunter totally forgot to lust on the second pack, which doesn't really matter, whatever have you not. Here, the dangerous mob here is this Death Speaker, and it is the Shadow Core cast here. This here is a big tank buster that hurts a lot, so you want to make sure. Now here I flew off, but I managed to put myself right in the way to land on the edge, and I was losing aggro to the monk who was just popping off. But then again, so is the survival hunter. But the big thing there is the Death Speaker does a frontal as well, so you want to make sure that this erupting darkness, you want to make sure that you're not in it. I positioned myself there, and our monk went flying, and then the Shadow Core cast is what you want to see getting kicked all the time. You can set up a kick rotation if you have to, but that's really the focus there. And then after this, we're going to fight the Lieutenant. Now, the Lieutenant, if we're going into 9.2, is not going to be there, so I'm going to be skipping over that Lieutenant just as a whole, because we're not going to be fighting him at all. Now, the next mob on Fortified can hurt quite a bit, especially if you're a little undergeared. This is the Enraged Spirit. You do want a Night Fae in your group to pop this urn, give it a stun, especially while he's doing his Rage cast. While these Enraged masks are coming out, you can use a group CC. Shadow Fury, any sort of group stun, or anything like that. Paladins can use Blinding Light, and it gets rid of them. And the less of them there are, the less it hurts. Plain and simple. Here we pop the urn. She did our healer did a fantastic job at that, and we just burst it down. And then we go from there. Just remember that any group CC or hard CC, you can single target stun or whatever if you have it. And getting rid of enough of them can, save a pull and things like that. But you do want to try and, like, a monk's leg sweep and things like that. That's really what you want to kick. Aside from here, this is a fairly normal pack. We have the two Risen Warlords, so this is where the soothes really come into play. There is the Pathing of Rage Spirit there, but I am going to just do your best, ignore it, move around. Now, these Risen Warlords as well, I did not say so in the last pull, but they do these Ravager casts typically on range, where what it is just a swirling blade storm. Stay out of it. It hurts, as our priest just found out. It hurts quite a bit. This is one that if you're a little undergeared, you're probably going to want to be kiting them, especially as they hit their enrage points to get away from. So here we do have our survival hunter that it was very quick on the soothes. He pops up. Now, his soothe was still on cooldown, but he did soothe the other one real quick because they enraged at 30%, but they have their own little enrage as well. So just a little bit of timing there. Aside from that, this run that we're doing here, we're doing the ring around the Rosie method. If you've been playing any plus 10s at all lately, it's a very common route in 9.1, 9.15. But in 9.2, that's probably going to go away with the encrypted affix, because this run is all about dealing with the lieutenants. So you're probably going to have a more normal route. The Defunct Dental Drill, this is becoming more and more common in higher keys to just skip through this whole hallway. Now, this one here, he has that Haywire cast he just did. That is one that you're going to want to LOS. So what I'm doing here is I'm tanking it against this big wall. So when he does the Haywire, you just LOS it and you move out of the way. Very simple mechanic. And then here we're going to engage Xy'rath, but I'm going to skip ahead. The last pack before Ardenweald. Now here you do have another one of these urns to do a group stun. So the Death Speaker is kind of the big one there. You want to try and pull it with something ranged and then kick it to bring it in. That Shadow Core cast, again, hurts. Aside from that, group them in. I use Gorfine's Grasp here on the Death Speaker. I couldn't see where the frontal was, but she used the urn to stun. Boom, easy pack. Especially when you have, you know, a monk dealing 35k, a survival hunter dealing another 24. Things just get bursted down. That Erupting Darkness is that frontal. This hallway coming up here is the Hallway of Death. The fountains spew out magic damage. It hurts. Avoid them. Just take your time. Don't try and rush it, and just use some speed, movement, and things like that as you can going on, as you one would here. Sorry, I know a lot of hunters that just like to turtle their way through here. Just to make it simple, here I use Death's Advance, and then I will probably be using Door of Shadows if I'm not mistaken. Boom, done, in, out. Just avoid getting hit. The higher the key, the quicker they will just clock you. Coming into Ardenweald now. So the pull I like to do here is I like to grab those rune stags that are right there. The lieutenant doesn't social aggro, so you don't have to worry about it. And then I will go to the right here as well and pick up these Spriggans. Now here you see the Sporific Shimmer Mist Jump warning that I have. There is a curse that goes on, so if you can decurse, such as being a bear druid, they can take care of it. But what happens is you get a stacking debuff. Once you reach 10, you fall asleep. Mages as well can also decurse. Very, very useful. Now, if you do not have a decurse in your party, all you need to do is jump every once in a while and it resets the stack. The curse stays on for a minute, but the stacking buff just goes away whenever you jump. I have I have a warning that goes off. I think it's GTFO that just and then I jump and then I'm fine. So here my stacks are starting to get up a little bit. I jump, they're gone, boom, done. So here we're going to go ahead and just kind of skip ahead on Soggy. Next here, I like to do a little double pack before I do the bigger urn. The rune stags like to path back and forth and dealing with the Spriggans. So you just keep moving forward and things like that. Now the Elder Horns will put these little circles on the ground that will silence you if you are a Death Strike, Death Knight, if you're a Blood DK, as I am here. You really want to avoid those because you want to be able to Death Strike precisely when you can. So you're going to constantly be moving these packs. Say sorry to your ground-based AoE DPS players, but that's pretty much it. So what I do here is I go to the left. Now those little hatchlings, you want to make sure that you don't hug that left wall too much because you do not want to pick those up. So here I will get some aggro, but I already knew I was going to be losing a lot of aggro with the monk and stuff like going off. And then you use the urn and you pull them off. Usually I like to pull this a little bit bigger, but we were doing just fine. Burn your cooldowns whenever you can, and then you move forward from there. Moving forward, this pack here has the Bladebeak Matriarch, and I made a mistake here. I did not have all of my cooldowns. I ended up pulling the Rune Stag. It did not go well for us at all. Unfortunately, this is just a wipe that was waiting to happen. I should have waited until I had more stuff, but is what it is. I was just getting chonked. My last debuff hadn't gone off yet because the Bladebeaks put a stacking debuff on you that the more the debuff that you have, the harder they start hitting. And I'm eventually going to die here. Yeah, and we do not have a Brez within our group, so we're going to wipe. And then we're going to have to come back and retry it again. So we waited for the group to come back. We got plenty of time. Our DPS is perfectly fine. Sometimes I like to play silly and not pay attention. Personally, I would have waited until my debuff was gone. And in higher keys, aka not just a 15, in 2022s, you literally do not pull Bladebeak Matriarchs. But this whole series is to get you to help tank up to 15s. So that's basically the thing there. The Bladebeaks will give you this debuff. And as you see here, because the debuff is only at 2 right now, the Matriarch's not hitting very, very hard at all. Very manageable in a 15 for a well-geared tank. So now you come down, you grab the Shimmer Moths, And for this one here, I will just constantly move down. Tell your your hunters and stuff to don't drop your wild spirits here, but any hunters and things like that are usually gonna save it for boss. So you just tank it down. If you do need percent in this little cove right here, there is another thing of Spriggans, but I know my percentages, and with what we pulled earlier and going in, Ardenweald is where you're going to get the most amount of your percent that you're going to need going forward, because there is no more coming out of here, basically. So you want to plan your route around your Ardenweald pulls. So you can do your Ardenweald first or last, depending on whether you want to fight Hakar first, or this Xy'mox wannabe. So, Xy'mox wannabe, I don't remember the name of her. Dealer Xy'exa, there we go. So, Dealer Xy'exa, I will start in the middle. She's going to put down these portals that you're going to have to use to jump up. I will just move to the side, and then I'll kind of follow this spiral going around. She does the Xy'mox thing with the light magic things. I don't really know what to call it. Just move out of the way. She's going to do an explosive contrivance. Now, the first one, I AMS. The second one, I'm going to take up. The other thing that really hurts with this boss, and this is gonna depend whether you're a range heavy comp, a melee heavy comp. People are gonna have to move forward or with you. But what's gonna happen is there's an arcane lightning debuff that's gonna go around the group, and it is based on how close you are to one another. It will only jump so far. So if it's within the range and there's only 2 range sharing it, one of the ranges is gonna have to get into melee to share it with the melee, because the higher the stacks on that thing go up, it really starts to hurt big time. So just kind of keep that in mind if you're wondering, if there's 4 ranged in your group and you're the only tank and you've got this arcane lightning debuff, you're gonna have to ask someone to come into the melee group and get it. This explosive contrivance, after the 50% time of the cast, it's a perfect time to take your portal, jump up, boom, the fight's done. On tyrannical weeks on higher keys, that the dealer is just a nasty boss. You're like, it hurts big time, and your healers absolutely hate it. So try and save defensives and be smart about arcane lightning. Let's move forward over to the Mechagon wing. So all of the speedies were waiting for the slow wheelchair DK to come in. Here we have the ARP pack and the headless clients. The headless clients do a discharge cast. It kind of hurts. But what happens with the Arf, he does the wolf cast, which puts a big blue circle around someone and will end up stunning them and anyone within the blue circle. So just make sure that you are not in it as a tank. It is a very good way to die. Here I think I put my Death and Decay up on this pipe up here, because that's just the way that the game likes to work sometimes. So there's that wolf cast. You just want to stay out of it. Basic, simple. There are some bombs here. Now, by the time I got here, the monk had one of the monks had robbed it, Ring of Peace, and had pulled them, so they exploded. No harm, no foul. Here, I will pull it next to this pipe right here, and next to this pipe is where you can hide from the Haywire cast. Dental drill, same thing as before. Just DPS it down, and you kind of move forward from there. The Mechagon wing has a lot of nasty packs that you're gonna start skipping in higher keys, and you're gonna start getting more percentage in Ardenweald because it's just easier. So here, what I do is I pull the lubricator forward, and one of the monks will put a Ring of Peace, because this lubricator pulls the bombs. Now, the lubricate cast does hurt, but he does a self-cleaning cycle, which absolutely needs to be kicked. That's the priority there. It is a heal, and you just don't want that you just do not want that going off. So you can stun it, you can kick it, whatever you have to do to pull any CC. You just cannot let it go off at all. Here, you hit that button if you are an engineer, and you move forward from there. So here we're going to grab the double lubricators. I have full confidence in the AoE of our group. I ain't too worried about it at all. Now, what the engineering does is it gets rid of those slimes. Little fun fact, if you took the bolstering buff off Incinerator while you're still in 9.1.5 and this video goes up, all of those little slimes actually count as a death. So you get an immediate 5 stacks of the bolstering buff for the 15% there. Unfortunately, we just did not have a lot of explosives to get their to get their buff back, to keep it cycled. Aside from that, with the 2 lubricators, you just want to make sure that the lubricators get kicked, the self-cleaning cycles get kicked. Rotate your CCs. This is really about CC and kick management. You don't want everybody kicking at the exact same time. And essential oils. Now, the sentient oils do this essential oil cast. It targets random people, not just the tank. So while you might think for yourself that this is an easy pull, this is an easy pack as a tank, trust me, your healer is going to say otherwise. It hurts. And if all of those essential oils go off at once, and they are all targeting one player in a higher key or an undergeared character, it can one-shot them. It happened last night in a 21 DOS that we were doing. Literally all 3 casts went off, and all of them targeted our healer at once. Everybody was at 100, and he just literally dropped, like, just out to lunch. Here, I'm just going to Door Shadows. We lost our healer. She thought she could roll past it. Unfortunately, did not work. Those things happen. But we're going to skip ahead to the gnome bosses. Milhouse and whatever Mana Storm. I can't remember. Magnificent. Now, this is a 2-phase boss battle. You have to defeat both of them, but only one of them are out at a time. So this one here, you have the Summon Power Crystal, which is going to put a Power Crystal that is going to lead directly to the boss. You have to have a DPS go stand in its way because you don't want that hitting the boss. You can take it yourself. It is a DPS boost. Now here, we just zerged down Milhouse insanely quickly. Just everyone popped everything and just went to town. But usually what you want to do is save all of your cooldowns for the second one. And he also does the little thing with the arrows, which you have to put the boss in the middle of them so you can kind of get a quick stun. Maleficent, that is her name. She does these little squirrel bombs where they go off. The ranged or the healer typically get those. As a tank, you can try. This used to be a lot easier. Unfortunately, it is not that easy now to get them. This Buzzsaw cast on Tyrannical Weeks will hurt a lot. As you can see, it just hurt me there. So you really want to make sure that you have defensives. If you're a DK, you have the Runic Power ready for a quick Death Strike, at least to get off in the middle of that Buzzsaw cast. It really, really does hurt in the higher keys that you get. So keep that in mind. Here's not too bad. There is also the Shadow Fury debuff that's going to come up on someone. So here you're going to see someone's going to get a purple circle. It's a little bit difficult. Actually, they missed it here. And then here we got these robot chickens going off. Now there is a Shadow Fury that's going to target someone. And what you're going to want to do is place it on top of Maleficent and then stun her and then go from there. Coming over into the Hakar wing, there is a few things that you do need to know as a tank. First things first, these Altai, the Devoted, let's just call them the Devoted. They do this Devoted Sacrifice cast. It is not kickable, but it is CCable. You want to rotate your big CCs, your stuns. As a DK, you can grip and things like that, and just have it dealt with that way. The Hexers do a healing wave. You really, really want to kick those. It does not very fare well when the healing wave goes off. And then these Death Walkers are going to the Death Walkers will do the Blade Storm. They can be stunned out of it, but not kicked. And they do put a bleed. You see the stacking bleed here. It really, really, really hurts in high keys. So that you want to make sure and you deal with properly. Now, one of the things is when the Death Walkers die, a spirit of a Death Walker is going to kind of appear. They can be Blood Elf Purged. They can be, I think a Mass Dispel works as well. There's other different ways to go by. So here we're going to deal with the Hexer and the Devoted as well. I am going to Gorfien's Grasp grip all of them in partway through their cast, so that way they have to restart and give us time to kick. Boom, done. Easy peasy. Things like a Warlock Shadow Fury, Monk Leg Sweep, any kind of stun, hard CC works really, really well. I think Blinding Light also works on that as well for Paladin, so if you're playing Prop Pally and you're spec'd into that, that would work. Now here, I almost died. I wasn't paying attention to which way I was kind of really looking my back, so I had to set things up, and I'm going to pull the Priest in here, Death Strike, and we're going to get everything off, and there is an urn in that back corner there. Got very, very close to dying. Our healer was also our Night Fae. So you just stun them down, work them in, and same thing applies. Kick the heals, kick the healing waves. The Hex can be debuffed. Not debuffed, but dispelled, so try and kick that off, and stun the Death Walkers as much as possible. Then you can use your Blood Elf Purge, Arcane Torrent. Very, very useful here in this fight. Next, we're going to go on to the next two bosses. The next one being Hakar. Now, Hakar, we zerged him down, so you're not going to see a whole lot of cast go off. Now, in higher keys, the piercing barb is really what hurts. So you want to save your defensives, rotate them for the healing barb, save your runic power for that cast because it can get scary. There is a mechanic called Corrupted Blood. It is spreadable, so it's going to go on a couple of people. And if you're standing too close to someone within the red circle, what's going to happen is they can get it as well, but it's not too bad. The Sons of Hakar come out. You want to zerg them down as well, because when he does the blood barrier cast, which we just destroyed, this is not a very good instance of what to do, but he's gonna give himself a blood barrier based on the amount of damage that he does, and the more adds that are out, the bigger the barrier. And in higher keys, that barrier can be very, very difficult to DPS through, and it is a big waste of time. There are ways to zerg through it, save cooldown, save burst, and things like that. Now, I mean, when you got Monk pulling 15k, a Priest pulling 15k, and then you got a Survival Hunter pulling 10k in a single target fight with Lust, things go down very, very fast. But those are the key essentials with Hakar on 15 Tyrannical or Fort. They won't change. You should be fine. Now we get over to the last boss, Mueh'zala. This is a multi-phase fight going in. You do not want to use any of your big cooldowns that are on more than a minute cast. Anything less than a minute or less, you can use it as you start. You'll get it back for when you need it for the next phase. You and your group are going to have to decide which portal you're going to go into. Front left, back left, front right, front left. And you're going to have to kill and add. Now, for the first part here, there is a debuff that's going to kind of happen. They're going to put these purple swirlies on the ground. You want to avoid these purple swirlies as much as possible. I used AMS to kind of deal with that. Wasn't too worried about having to deal with my add too much with a monk that had Touch of Death for the last part. So here I could have used Swarming Mist to pull, but I did not. I just really, really wanted to be a little bit more conservative here. You're going to have to move left, right, and back, depending on which way he does his Masters of Death. So here we move left because he's going to coat the entire right. You can see our Hunter turtled. This one you're going to want to move back. Your basic, like the line right here, that's fine. And then he's going to do left. It is not always in that order, so you have to pay attention. And the Soul Crusher is kind of your main tank buster. It hurts. Good to use minor defensives on and use a big defensive here, especially if you're soloing one of these ads. So here you're gonna just burst down this ad as much as possible. I pulled everything that I could. That's not Bone Storm, because Bone Storm's not great in single target scenarios, but it's really, really good in AoE. So here we're gonna burst it down. I don't think she has her Touch of Death because it should have died already if it had Touch of Death. Now you want to use here, then you want to click the totem. We get all 4 totems. You're going to get a massive haste buff, and Bomsandi is going to join the fight as well and deal a bunch of damage to Mueh'zala. And that would end the fight after he gets, I think it's like between 10.4%, somewhere around there, depending on what he's casting. If he's in the middle of a Masters of Death cast, it can go down to like 9.6 because he's going to finish his things before he really dies. So here you just want to like just go to town. He's not going to deal any damage. You have this time to really deal as much damage to him. He's going to go down. The fight ends, like I said, around 10.4%, 10%. It depends on how he's casting. Like I said earlier, you see how the Death Crusher there came in and cast and took my health down. Now, he only did about 30% damage, but it is constant. So it's not a big tank buster, but it's something you do want to be aware about. So aside from that, that is how to tank the other side. If you have any questions, comments, leave it down in the section below. I think I did a decent enough job going as quick as I could, because here we can look at the breakdown of our DPS. 10.4 overall, 12.4 overall, 10.7 overall, and unfortunately there just wasn't enough damage left, and our priest could only do 7.8, but he was popping throughout the entire thing as well. Very, very good run, lots of fun. If you're looking for a tank Discord that has nice positive community people, Discord link down below, the Mazarok community Discord. We're a growing community. As of recording this, we are 966 subs. We are almost at 1,000, my first big benchmark. So if you have not subbed yet, I would hugely appreciate it if you did, as we grow and move forward. If you like to see me, if you like to check people out on Twitch, I do have a Twitch. I'm trying to stream a little bit more, but I've been sick the past week. I know things have been crazy. I am getting back on that train though, and in 9.2 I will be streaming a lot more frequently. Unfortunately, life is just what it is, but that link is down below. Check it out. Thank you very much for watching this video. Expect more coming out with due time. Enjoy your guys' day, and I hope you guys are excited for 9.2 as much as I am.